Queens Boulevard. And the
Yeah.
courthouse is Lady Justice, right? And in it, she's stepping on harlots and criminals. You know, it was a statue given to us. I forgot by who. And what happened is, now Anthony Weiner claimed, quote, it is anti-feminist and offensive, so we must remove it. Meanwhile, I've seen that statue. It's gorgeous. So that's an example of how they want to eliminate real art. Continue.
Well, isn't that in that case, it sounds like it's also symbolic of how he wants the justice system to be.
Correct.
Yeah. Eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. I mean, can you see how these are fitting right in?
Like today.
That's what I'm saying. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. You know, I mean, infiltrate churches and replace revealed religion with social religion. Discredit the Bible and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need a religious crutch. You know, and then with that one, I reference, well, isn't that what Reverend Wright's church is?
Not just Reverend Wright's church, even certain Protestant churches, certain elements of the Catholic Church, certain elements of Judaism. They have this thing called, which Reverend Wright comes from, that liberation theology, which is fighting for social justice, not about your faith with God. So that's a good example right there.
Yep, and then I just kind of flipped up to that the Black liberation theology, or I don't remember what I put first. I got a whole chapter on United Church of Christ there, Trinity United there, where Mr. Byrd was he did the Black value system. So we got the Black value system first, and then they also follow the Black liberation theology. But it's where they have a disavowal of the pursuit of middle classness is one of the planks in that. Like, how do you get around it? I mean, it's like, was everybody in Reverend Wright's church the same, of the same means? No, they're all different means, because people are individuals.
Right.
However they identify themselves. There's no such thing as equal abilities, and why shouldn't somebody work to the best of their ability, to provide for themselves and their family?
People are born with different talents, okay? So some people will succeed more in a field than others. That's just life. So what? Why resent that person's success? Why not try to emulate the success? That's my theory in life. Basically, there was a little slang we used to have when I was growing up in Queens. It was like, I don't play or hate. I congratulate. Meaning, if someone is successful and doing better than you, don't hate on them. Congratulate them. Try to learn.
Exactly. And that springs to mind, the Abraham Lincoln quote where, I put that in here too in a different section where it says, "Let no man tear down the house of another. Let him build one up for himself, thus ensuring his own will be free from violence," or something, something like that. So in other words, you can either hate on it or you can be inspired by it. And my angle is obviously going to be people should be inspired by it.
No, I 100% agree with you because it seems lately now, and isn't it weird? Certain people are allowed to be successful. If they are politically correct, let's say like a George Soros, Steve Jobs, as long as they support leftist causes. But then if you have wealthy people, like now they're coming up with conspiracy theories like about the Koch brothers. They're evil. They're evil.
Whoever even heard of them before, a month and a half ago? I didn't. Oh, yeah. You know what? You mentioned that last night. Somebody mentioned that last night. Rose, I think, on my when I was talking. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Yep. Oh. I know. Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, you know what? That also that kind of that brings to mind the when I of course one of the first things when you're doing your research Wikipedia is like the first thing that pops up in Google, and when I was looking at the when I was looking at Wikipedia for Bilderbergs, it made me chuckle. Here it is. It says because of its secrecy. I'm kind of jumping around issues, but it's triggering different items and it's all connected. So it says because of its secrecy and refusal to issue news releases, the Bilderberg Group is frequently accused of political conspiracies. This outlook has been popular on both extremes of the ideological spectrum, even if they disagree on what the group wants to do. Now get this. Left-wingers accuse the Bilderberg Group of conspiring to impose capitalist domination, while right-wingers accuse the group of conspiring to impose a new world order in the form of a socialist one-world government. Now I ask you, which of the two, of the two possibilities there, offers more individual liberty to people?
To spread capitalism and constitutional republican forms of government throughout the world, as opposed to.
But it's funny. It's like they say it as a derogatory. You're going to impose capitalism. I mean, I just don't get it. You're right. They're right. I don't get it.
It's just ironic that we live in times where capitalism is being mocked in the United States. But then in places like China, they're trying to become capitalistic. It's like Earth to Houston, we have a problem.
Exactly.
It's like reverse now. I mean, when you have Pravda warning Obama 2 years ago that he's going down the wrong road, there's a problem going on.
Yeah. Yep.
So I mean, I'm looking at some of the some of the chapters here. And what really, I never liked the left, right? But sometime around 2005, I stumbled upon this blog called Think Progress, right? Mm-hmm. And it was which is of course run by Soros, the Center for American Progress.
Right.
And it is just nasty, the things they were doing and the smears and stuff like that. So it's just funny that, when I started watching, I was listening to Glenn Beck, but when he really started hammering things in 2009 about the origins of the progressive movement, basically Marxists by a nice name, progressives,
Right.
What you call it? And he mentioned Saul Alinsky. It all clicked. That's how the left says simple things like Bush lied, people died, no blood for oil. They use simple, catchy phrases.
Bumper stickers.
Yeah. And it is, for us on the right, we laugh at it because we're like, that's bullcrap. Because when we argue against them, we use reason, logic, and facts. They use emotions and slogans. But the problem is, so many people are not politically aware that if they hear, you lie. Like, for example, with the union protest in Wisconsin, when that Fox News guy was there and the guy was like, Fox lies. And, you see the news camera. Well, how do we lie? Fox lies. You lie. You see, he keeps it simple, and people start believing it.
Yeah.
I really wish our side would start using some Alinsky tactics,
Well, it's funny you should mention that. What I've done in my book is I got a whole chapter on Saul Alinsky and the rules. And, you can see that because you're looking at the table of contents. But I follow it up with how to, not proven, of course, because I'm just me, but some ideas on how to, on how to expose and overcome the tactics that they have in the rules for radicals. And then, of course, at the end, the AmericanThinker.com has posted a list called Rules for Patriots, and they're actually pretty good. I came up with some, but we touched on something last night, and I'm gonna tie this in. Remember you were saying it was the left wing Muslim agenda or something like that. Didn't you say something about that?
What I call I call it the Leftist Islamic Alliance.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's see how you think about this. This is something that kind of popped in my head as I was writing, which is when all the good stuff comes. Number 7, on rules for radicals. Overuse of tactics becomes ineffective. And it says, man can sustain militant interest in any issue for only a limited time. And then, I had this epiphany, and I wrote it as I thought it. I think I just discovered why the lefties are so interested in Muslim extremists. They have maintained a militant interest in their issue for thousands of years.
Yep.
It is an area of learning and study to determine how the militant interest is maintained. Except once they learned that belief is the power, and it's a religious belief, well, then they just hitch their wagon, letting the extremists do the heavy lifting. The left can't compete.
I agree with you, because I'm telling people right now, on a global scale, this alliance between the left and and the Islamic imperialists, as I call them, is probably the most dangerous political alliance ever facing humanity. I mean, look what happened in Egypt. It is one of the most effective. My God, I mean,
I got one more sentence here. It says, letting the extremists do the heavy lifting. The left can't compete with the power of religious zealots, but since they're going the same way, why not let the Muslims clear the path? Evidently, they think they're going to be able to beat them later. Once capitalist is gone, they think they're going to. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. We got to actually team up and go the other way with it. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This obsession that, for example, if you criticize Islam, point out the fact that they started all these wars of aggression in the 7th century. No, that's not true. I mean, I argued one time with a leftist on Think Progress when he started, talking crap about the Crusades, and I was like, well, what about the jihad of the 7th century when when after Muhammad's death under the Caliph Umar, Arab Islamic armies invaded the Byzantine and Persian empires. Oh
my God!
You know what they said?
You can't hit them with facts.
I mean, no, but here's what he came back with. That is a good thing because, quote, the Persians and the East Romans, the Byzantines, were imperialists. The Arabs were freedom fighters. They were a third world liberation force fighting to overthrow the evil establishment of the Romans and Persians. And God bless them for that because they were good. Seriously, that's what he answered me back.
Well, Dan, hang on a second.
Sure.
Dave, somebody is calling in now named Adam who would like to speak to you regarding your book. Why don't you bring him in? Hi, Adam. Good evening.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, gentlemen.
How are you?
Hi, David.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm curious about the book because I have not seen this yet, and you started out talking about the Bilderbergers, and I'm not a big fan about the whole conspiracy thing, simply because it sounds, over the top, a little ridiculous. So I'm kind of curious, having not read your book, what would you say would be the easiest way to approach such a subject?
Well, to be honest, there's so little known about it. There's one guy who has basically dedicated his life to finding out everything he can about it, and his name is Daniel Estulin, and he basically what I did in the book is I took what he has done, all the research that he's done. His bottom line about the Bilderbergs, and I like I said, that's the extent of the research on this stuff is basically what this guy has published. He said what the Bilderbergs are about is more of a one world company limited. So in other words, it's more of a money thing. It says it's where I got it right here in front of me. It's 1990s about the creation of one world government. It's actually not. It's not about that at all. It's a meeting of people who represent a particular ideology. That ideology is of money. So the idea is not to create one world government, but rather the creation of one world company limited.